There's not just one place that we recruit people from. Talent is everywhere.
Yes, truly. Right. Exactly. And we live in a world now where you could have gone to school for finance and that doesn't matter. And
I'm an economics major.
Wow.
I have nothing to do with hospitality.
And I'm psychic, I think. Hi, everybody. We have a really exciting guest on the podcast today. Her name is Alicia Moneyhun. She is the Vice President of Partnerships at LamontCo. And LamontCo is a hospitality solutions company. So they provide site selection, contracting, and event solutions for every size and variety of meeting. And I'll let her tell you the rest. Why don't you just give us the quick rundown of Lamont?
Quick rundown. We were started by Tim Lamont, who has been in the industry for more than 30 years. He had an idea of being more than just site selection and contracting. So we have several divisions all over the world. We have a team of nearly 50 now. Wow. Just for perspective, when I started 2 years ago, I was the 12th hire. So we have grown leaps and bounds. It's been wonderful to watch. We do site selection and contracting, venue finding outside of North America, as it's known. We have on-site meeting management, housing and registration. We have another division that focuses strictly on creative social responsibility. And then we have other solutions that help with things that don't have anything to do with site selection. If there's not a room commission associated with it, but you need help booking ICWs, or you need a bunch of room reservations or dinner reservations for board members, anything that you need, we have a solution to be able to support your team or lack thereof. If you're missing part of your team and you need help just for a little bit, we're there for that. So that's why we call ourselves a hospitality solutions company. We really encompass the entire ecosystem and support every side of it. That's
a lot of departments. When you first started, was that the intention for the company to grow?
It was. The original vision of Tim's almost 7 years ago now was definitely to grow and to be that resource that we've become for the hospitality industry. But it started out literally with LiveCon, and then went CSR Connections, and Lamont Associates started to grow. I mean, there were just a couple of associates when he first started, and it's just really grown leaps and bounds, not just because of what he puts into the company and what all the teams that he's brought on put into the company, but because we're responding to the needs, right? The things that the hospitality industry needed 7 years ago is very different from what they need today. We've adapted to that, and we have divisions that really operate in their specific arenas, because obviously, I mean, I'm great, but I'm not great at everything, right? So Jason Rudoy heads up LiveCon. That's his sole focus, is to bring the on-site meeting management, housing and registration solutions that people need. Tammy Runzler, her sole focus is CSR Connection. So we've really operated in a lot of arenas recently, but they're really headed by the right people that are focused on those particular solutions to make sure that people are getting what they need. As long as we remain a customer-driven entity, we want to give the customers what they need, then all of those things will continue to remain and will continue to grow.
Yes. Keep your customers happy always. And you guys do. I mean, watching Alicia at freaking IMEX, I've never been to a conference of that size. And, it was really something. And we're walking by and everybody knows who she is, you guys. Just so gregarious, and you just perfectly belong in that environment. For people who don't know, how could you become a meeting planner? What is the typical path? Do they usually work in group hotel sales first, or how does that work?
You know what? They really come from all aspects, because as I mentioned, the hospitality ecosystem is vast. Yeah. It can be anywhere from supporting somebody on the reservation side, right? Whether it be in a housing management form, or on a property, or maybe a CSM where you're helping execute the program, or in sales where you're helping sell that dream and really helping people find the solutions for the pieces that they need to fit. It can also be somebody that's worked in the decorating arena, right? They've put together these trade shows. Yeah. It really can be from anywhere, because everyone that is living in the ecosystem has an idea of how to do better. Yeah. And what customers may need, what other solutions they might need. So we really welcome anyone on our teams that have the desire to build their own company, because we're all independent contractors, but they can build that from so many different sides of the arena. There's not just one place that we recruit people from. Talent is everywhere.
Yes,
Truly.
right. Exactly. And we live in a world now where you could have gone to school for finance and that doesn't matter. And
I'm an economics major.
Wow.
I have nothing to do with hospitality.
And I'm psychic, I think. Yeah, exactly. Like I love that about the way things are trending now, is that you can, really switch lanes aggressively whenever you want.
And you could have been in another arena for years and decided to come into hospitality, and you can really provide a great service to those that you're working with. There are people that, even on your side, right? You're interviewing people, that's a great tool to be able to then bring into somebody on the marketing side in an event world or an association or particular corporate division and say, you know what, I have all these great ideas about how to reach people. And that's a talent that's needed all over the place. And so regardless of where you are in any industry, you can always bring your talents over to this ecosystem at any time.
And I highly recommend it. I love the travel industry so much. Okay, question about tech. So you must be seeing all the headlines lately about people being laid off in tech, and there are tons of people looking for new jobs. And tech is famous for high salaries. So if someone was looking to get into being an event planner, what could they expect in terms of like compensation?
Well, compensation really, when you go into the various parts, whether it's hotel, convention center, even an event team within the tech industry or within a corporation or an association, those salaries really vary vastly. The great thing about what we do and what LamontCo does is that if you're coming here, you're building your own business. So really, the ceiling is not set. You can go as big as you'd like, or you can have a comfortable salary that we work with and say, okay, what are your goals? You have to prospect. I mean, as in building any business, regardless of whether you're in tech or you're in hospitality, you've got to get out there, do those prospecting calls, go through those meetings and build that base.
Yeah.
As you do that, there's kind of a simple formula that you can work it out. Essentially, as you go through that, and you make those calls, you'll make those connections, you'll sell your services, and you'll build your business. So the sky is the limit in terms of putting your efforts into where you want to be. As far as salaries outside of what we do, they can be anything, and they can go with commissions and they can go with salary pay. It is going to be an adjustment for people. It's really difficult. However, if you're coming from the tech sector and coming into hospitality, you have the most empathetic people that you are going to be talking to, because we just went through a ridiculous amount of layoffs and rehirings and adjustings and changing the way that you live because of your income. We know that struggle. Yeah. We can explain that. Our company in itself, we're very transparent on what it takes to get to that level that you want to be at. Sometimes it'll take 6 months of 100 calls a week. Sometimes it'll take 2 years, depending on where you want to be. We will support anyone in that journey, but no matter where you go, if you're coming from the tech sector into the hospitality sector, please know that we are all empathetic of what you're going through, and we can help you find where your talents can best be used. There are lots of ways for people that have been in that sector to support this entire ecosystem. I mean, we really, anytime you go to anything, whether it's just for business or just for leisure, or you're planning a big meeting or a small meeting, all of that is what we do and what we touch every day.
Yeah. You guys have so many different departments, so many different skill sets are needed, right?
Yep.
Oh man. So
Absolutely.
What does a top performer look like? I know it'll take a while to get there, but what does that mean exactly? Is it the person?
The runway is actually shorter than it used to be. We used to say in the industry that it would take roughly 2 years for you to kind of get going, because the booking window at the time, meaning from the time that the RFP is sent to the time that the program is executed. And therefore, if you are on the site selection side, you don't get paid until after the execution, right? People stay in the rooms, they pay their room revenue, and then the hotel or the chain then pays you your commission. So all of those things have to go through. That runway used to be 18 to 24 months. It is now quite often less than 6 months. Ooh. So granted, you're not going to come in. Some people do come in with very big clients, right? A couple thousand rooms for a citywide or a mini-wide. Most people, though, really need support immediately on those small to medium programs. And something I've said most of my career is crumbs make up bread. You want those small pieces, because that's where people's frustrations are. Just like when you plan a night out for friends, right? If there's 3 of you, it's a lot harder really than getting 15 of you, because when there's 15 of you, 1 or 2 of you take over and just run with it. But when it's 3, you're trying to make decisions together and figure out, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Same thing happens in meetings. So they really need that person to come in and show them where to go, how to do things. And once you become that solution, then they use you for other things. Same thing on another avenue. If you don't even start with the venue finding or the site selection part, if you go into the solutions of meetings, of actually executing a program or housing and registration, sometimes that's even less than 3 months, because all of a sudden they've opened registration, something isn't meshing, they need help immediately. Come to the LiveCon team, or you're about to execute a program 30 days out. You need something from CSR Connections because all of a sudden you want to give back to the community that you're in. Or you have a holiday meeting, right? Holiday program, or just some sort of a celebration. You're like, oh my gosh, I'd like to work together with my team to deliver something. That's CSR. So the runway for solutions is a lot shorter than it used to be. But again, the hardest part for people transitioning into this part of the business is knowing that you do have a runway, even though it might be a short runway. And our teams are here to support you and show you how to do that and help you do that. But there is action that's needed in order to equate to revenue. So top producers, those are really the people in our team that run the gamut on solutions. Most people's clients don't use multiple LamontCo solutions, more than 2. They usually use 1 or 2. There's some that do use 3 or more, but most people will use 1 or 2 because they already have established relationships on some other solution that they're using. Over time, they then start to use multiples, again, depending on what their needs are. So those top producers are people that maybe they started in the LiveCon world and execution, and now they've dabbled in some site selection and they've gotten some CSR Connections programs going. Or it might be somebody that's strictly been venue finding, site selection, and then they had a client that they were prospecting. This happens quite a bit. And the client says, you know what, I'm already working with somebody for site selection. We, of course, respect that when that happens. But then they say, but I need somebody to actually help me execute a program. And so that person says, okay, great. Let me help you with that. And those relationships begin. So those top producers are those that don't necessarily go in with one thing in mind and only one opportunity to give a solution, but listen to the customer and what they need, and then are able to deliver that and then execute it and be that solution that they need. Yeah,
just consistency is key, except that making those 100 calls doesn't mean all of them will go well. And over time,
they're all connections that are necessary, right? Connecting people is my passion, as you know, right? Yeah, I introduced you to lots of people on the show floor.
You're very good at it.
I love it. I have a networking group that I work with here in Seattle. Like I love connecting people, and we really know connection is not a value. Every connection is a value. You want to make sure that you go into every situation knowing that you're going to be better knowing that person. Whether or not they become a client of yours, that's irrelevant. It's all about making that connection, because you never know when they or you may be the difference between winning something else or not having that connection to be able to answer whatever's needed.
Absolutely. Always networking.
Always networking, every time.
I was going to ask you, you talked about venue finding, and just that term sounds really fun. Sounds exciting.
It is. It's basically what outside of North America, what they call site selection.
Yeah.
So, and we've expanded globally. So I get used to saying both terms because it's really exciting to have our team at Lamont International. But it's just, there's so many things that you can do because it's not just saying, oh, I need a ballroom, right? They might need Brooklyn Bowl, which our partners at Live Nation special events can do, or they have other music places that you can go, whether you want to have a band or you're just having a small program, they can help with that. We have other things like restaurants or just really vast network of venues that you can do. And that's fun, right? You're not ever putting just one, what would I say? One costume, one vision on every single thing that you're working. It's always changing.
Yeah. And be open to it changing and go with the flow in that way.
And like I said, we're a customer driven company. We are out there to give the customers the best service that they need to execute their program the way they envision it. As long as we continue to deliver on their vision, we will remain successful every time.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as site selection goes, where are like 2 or 3 of the most popular places people are having meetings this year, 2023?
Oh gosh, 2023. So booking in, you know what? I actually have this, funny enough. Let me pull this up.
Let me pull this up right here.
I mean, that's my job, right? I have LamontCo annual number. So where we booked in 2022, so quite a bit of that is going into 2023. Our top booked destinations, top 3 were Dallas, Fort Worth. I mean, that's quite a vast area, right? Las Vegas and Miami, Florida. Those were our top 3 destinations. Yeah. And the year before, we had a couple of international destinations in 21 that were our top booked destinations. So it really changes, not only just because visions change for people, but also because you have availability that shifts. And those destinations that really get out there and showcase their availability, we have a partner program, so they're able to come on and showcase with our team to say, oh, we have need dates, or here's something to look at in the area. Those are the places, Irving, Texas, Plano, Texas, Frisco, Texas, all of those, Fredericksburg, they're all partners of ours. The Woodlands in the Houston area, they all come on and really are able to showcase their destinations. And the team says, oh, light bulb moment. And then they book them. So it's amazing what comes out of, again, connecting people, which you know.
Yeah. Oh, I love Dallas so much. It's like one of my favorite places, one of my favorite big cities.
My son is my permanent souvenir from the DFW area.
So nice.
We have a little string to Texas at all times.
My permanent souvenir. I love that. You previously worked at Microsoft.
I did.
Right?
I was actually on another third-party team that supported the events team at Microsoft for a little over 3 years.
What a big job. That's amazing.
It was fun. I wasn't the lead at the time, which was amazing because I got to learn from some really great industry people, all of which they're still in the industry. Some are still with Microsoft. Some have moved on to other things. They still remain some of my closest friends. I mean, we went through quite a lot together, from cancellations due to storms, due to severe illnesses, due to all kinds of things changing of what their focus was. There were some of the longest hours I worked prior to this job, but definitely ones that I hold absolutely close to my heart.
So have you heard of Chat GPT?
Yes, that's very funny that you mentioned that.
Blowing up the world right now.
Introduced me to it. Yes.
So Microsoft invested billions into Chat GPT and AI. Do you think AI will impact planners?
It will. It's just another tool, right? We're always looking for tools. And I will tell you, in Word, my favorite tool is Shift F7. Do you know what that is?
No, what is it?
So if you're typing something in Word and you highlight a word and select Shift F7, that pulls up the thesaurus, because we are always looking for ways to say the same thing, right? At the end of the day, any program that's happening, you have 2 goals: get people there, get them the information that they need. There are necessary tools that we have to have in order to then describe that in a way that makes people want to join us, because sometimes you have a consumer show, right? They pay to be there. Sometimes you have a show that they have to be there, but your attendee sat is important. Every meeting planner wants to have good attendee sat scores. So how do we deliver the messaging of not only what our goals are, but how we're going to deliver those? And then at the end, have a way that people felt like those were achieved. So those things are always happening. The AI portion, it's unbelievable. I've actually played around with it a bit.
It's crazy.
I don't think it will be a replacement of anything like everything else. I think it's going to be an enhancement that we can use that will help us, again, just deliver that message in a way that people consume it. We're doing this, right? We're doing this on video. It's important for people to consume in that manner. So again, AI is just going to enhance those various things that we need to shift and deliver in a way that people can take it and get their goals met.
What a positive answer.
It's really quite shocking. That whole, when my husband first showed it to me, I couldn't believe it. The best part, though, you will all love this. For all spouses everywhere, we've been married for a very long time. And when we were first married, and even we've been married almost 23 years, I used to say, you don't have to have money to go on a date. So I literally asked him to put in there ideas for a free date night. And do you know, that sucker pumped some great ideas out. I hope
we're going out. Grab your coat.
So it's a new way of gathering information and then delivering information. And hopefully I'll get some good free dates out of it over the course of the next several months. I'm just saying, I have my own personal goals.
If the date is free, then he has extra cheddar to buy you a gift.
I'm just all about the experience, right? We travel for a living. One day we had one anniversary, we had a picnic on the living room floor, and I had little gift cards all over the house about little gift tags that had sayings and stuff on them. Anything can be free. You go
that
to a park.
Is cute as hell.
As
you
long
romantic.
As somebody plans something and it's not me, I'm happy.
Yeah, right. Oh man, I asked ChatGPT to I said, write me a poem about Brad Pitt on the moon. And it was like the most beautiful poetic thing I've ever read. And it popped out in 3 seconds. I was like, wow, it did that. It made me a gym workout that day. It made me a meal plan. I love that thing.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, it's wild, but again, it can be a really added idea tool. And sometimes we see it all, but sometimes we forget those little details. And I think something like that can really help get our creative juices flowing. Because at the end of the day, it can't execute. Our clients need us to execute.
Yes.
But sometimes we need a little information zhuzhing, some little adjective, added fun, something to just kind of sprinkle on top to get those things happening, get that sugar, get that caffeine going in our brains. And
yes,
again, for all those spouses out there, have your spouse stick in there free date ideas. Just saying.
I'll have to post them on the bottom of this episode. I'll have to post a list. So let's talk travel. Where am I talking to you from right now? Where are you?
I am in Redmond, Washington. So just on the east side of Seattle.
Beautiful, chilly.
Right now it's a bit chilly. Let's see. What is it? 40 something? Yeah,
it's 50 in Orlando right now, which is freezing for this place.
Is that the temperature where the iguanas start falling out of the trees?
Oh my, stop. I would sob if an iguana fell on me. Oh, I hate lizards.
I hear it's a real thing.
They start dropping at certain temperatures. I'm looking that up when we get off this.
That explains why you're in a sweater and I'm in a dress.
Yeah.
40 degrees here. We're like, spring's just around the corner.
Oh my gosh. I cannot wait. For spring and summer. Bring it on. Where is your favorite place you've ever traveled to? You've ever been?
Boston is my favorite city. I've got my second home is in San Diego. That's basically Seattle with sun. I loved living in Dallas, but Boston, it just has it all. So we're mileage freaks. We want to make sure that we fly Alaska, #I fly Alaska. We want to make sure that we get our miles in, and Hawaii's great, but let me tell you, you can get the great deals at Boston, and whether or not you're there for 12 hours or 3 days, there is always something to do. I had the pleasure of introducing my children to Boston. We have a friend that's out there. We've been talking about taking the kids, and we never did. And we finally did. Those kids walked, I think it was 12 miles one day.
They loved it.
And we did the Freedom Trail, and
awesome.
Whether it is raining sideways or 80 and sunny, that is a fabulous city.
It's so historic. It's so wonderfully historic. There's so much to do, but I think I have to name this episode what you just said. You said, Hawaii's awesome, but have you been to Boston?
That's really, Hawaii's great. It's really easy for us West Coasters to get to, but for the same amount of time, I could go to Boston way cheaper. And I love that town. We've had so many, we go there at least once or twice a year. In fact, we'll be there in 2 weeks. Just for the night, for a mileage run, because we got a really great deal. And so we'll mileage run, we'll walk around the town, and then we'll fly back home.
Get some leg mileage, get some airline mileage. So tell people what a mileage run is if they don't know.
So in order to get qualifying miles, which means there's a threshold depending on your airline, there's different thresholds that you have to meet in order to get into the different levels of their mileage plans. American Airlines has a revenue minimum and a flight. Those flying miles are not the miles you earn, because you earn the miles of your rear in the seat. And then depending on your level, you might get double miles. And so when you look at your mileage activity, it'll be double or triple what you really earned as a qualifying mile. Qualifying mile means that your tuchus is in the seat and you are flying all the way to that destination, and you earn those very specific miles. If you upgrade into premium level or first class, you get another percentage of mileages over. But for Alaska Airlines, it's 40,000 miles on Alaska, 50,000 miles if you're going through their partner airlines. And then, so I have to fly 40,000 miles in 1 year in order to make sure that I get that done. Sometimes my schedule, blessedly, is not so crazy that I don't have to have a mileage run. But if I can find a really good deal, which I'll spare you all the details, but if it's 7 cents a mile or less that you're actually earning those miles, then it's a great deal. You can get those miles in, have all of the perks once you get to that 40,000 miles, because upgrades are great. But the reality is, the reason that I do it is because I change my flights or cancel quite often.
Yes.
I need to be able to do that at no cost.
Right.
So while I don't always get upgraded, I'm not really concerned about upgrading, because exit row is still my favorite anyway. But I want to make sure that I have the flexibility that I need. On Alaska Airlines, it's 40,000 miles. Depending on your airline, check with your airline on what is important. We know that our All Fly friends are big Delta fans, but depending on where you need to, that's what you have to do. You actually have to be in your seat in order to earn those miles, and you want to watch that so that you make those milestones and get those benefits that are so critical.
Yes. Pro tip. That's honestly very true. I was reading that Alaska Air is what is it? The number one most beloved airline.
Pretty much. I mean, like I said, hashtag I fly Alaska. You'll find us all everywhere. It's a very loyal group to the area. We've been very lucky over the last couple of years, because it used to be that you just sort of fanned out from Seattle, and now we can fly all over the country. But I will say that there are some other airlines that are trying to compete with them. So some people may change. I, for one, for 2023, I'm still a diehard Alaska fan.
Have you ever been to Alaska?
I have for my 6th anniversary. We went. It was amazing. The air has no scent to it. I can't. It's so clean. It doesn't smell like anything. It was amazing. I can't wait to go back.
I want to do the cruises, the Alaska cruise. I would love to do that. We
didn't do the cruise up there. We flew into Anchorage, and then we took the train from Anchorage to Fairbanks with an overnight in Talkeetna, which is where the ranger station is, to climb Denali. It was amazing. I mean, the pictures, we were there in mid-September. We were there for our anniversary.
That's a good time of year weather-wise.
It was. It really was. The scenery. Oh, I just can't describe how amazing it was. If you have not been to Alaska, you must go.
Do it. Love that. Do it.
It's a little bit harder to get there than it is to Boston. So we just head over east to Boston.
Yeah. if you're going in that direction, just stop in Boston for dinner, like you're doing, and head on up to Alaska.
That's all we need.
What do you think the biggest challenges that meeting planners are facing today?
I think the biggest challenge is just really deciphering through the details that their customers are giving them to find out what's really important. Because the weight on their shoulders, on our clients' shoulders, is so vast. Sometimes it's really hard to translate all of the noise into the deliverables that are really going to make the customer feel that their meeting is successful. Because there can be a lot of noise from all their stakeholders and their team saying, this is difficult, this is what we need. But as our goal is, whether you're with Lamont Associates or LiveCon or CSR Connections, you want to make sure that you're delivering in the way that that customer at the end of the day feels successful. So that translation piece can be rather difficult right now. With all the tools that we have and the support that we have from other people on the team or people within the GSO community, or even the marketing communities that can really support all those things. As long as we're talking to each other and figuring things out, we can decipher that, but it's a little more complicated than it used to be in years past.
Yeah. And customers are unique. They all have different needs. And yeah, that's just like you said, just assimilate and keep calling, keep in contact always. Yep. Did you hear?
Always have your ears open.
Yeah. Yes. Did you hear about the Groups 360 situation?
I did. Well, what situation? I know who they are. I don't think I know the situation.
So the recent news that like shocked the group travel world when Groups 360, it's a Nashville startup, announced they'll be powering group bookings from Marriott on their website. So having group travels like digital transformation, you know, I feel like everything in that world is a little behind sometimes. So
I'm old. This is not the first time that this has happened.
You are not.
I believe 2001 was the first time this iteration of booking travel through Marriott that way occurred. With innovation comes pain, but always comes progress. So there are learning things that we have to learn. There are going to be difficulties. I applaud anyone, regardless of where they're at, for being innovative and trying something new. We will all be better for it in the end. But I also would like to reiterate, this is not new. This is not the first time we've seen this. Again, I've been around. I'm not quite a dinosaur. I'm like a baby dinosaur, but we've seen it before, and it made things better. I mean, think about the pandemic, right? We have been through a really difficult situation, tech-wise, just attitude-wise, meeting-wise. But now, just on the personal side, I can order groceries and tell them what time I'm going to pick it up. I don't have to go to the grocery store anymore. That was not available before. My medical insurance did not cover teledoc visits prior to the pandemic. Now I can have a virtual visit if I don't have the time or the ability to go into the doctor's office. So all of these pain points that we have, they breed progress. And I'm always happy to see that something's changing because someone will have another idea to make something better and we can elevate it. The people that we work with need the services and the support that we provide. Not everybody needs that. So I love progress to see for whatever other people out there in the industry that need that sort of technology. I applaud it. It will, if it works, it will get used. If it doesn't, it will be modified in a way that then the consumer can use.
Yes, exactly. And consumers have short memories. If it doesn't work, we'll move on and we'll completely forget it ever existed.
That's right.
Okay, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
You are on Travel Nerds right now. So what do you nerd out about? What are you just a total nerd over?
This is going to sound so hokey, but I mentioned earlier, right, that I am an economics major.
Yes.
So plus I also like urban development, right? I like to watch things change. I nerd out over urban development. I think my husband gets so annoyed because we'll go to a city and I'm like, that building wasn't there before. Or that was such and such restaurant, which other people might be like, okay, that restaurant sucked. But for me, I just think that it's so cool that it's something different. but I also love to learn about the economy, whether it's things like Jeremy Rifkin, who's an economist, wrote a book called The Marginal Cost Society, which is about how right now innovation isn't really occurring with new things. It's taking the things that we already have and then making them consumable in a different way. I'm reading a book right now that's actually looking at the archetypes of world dominating economies over the last 1,500 years, and then looking at kind of where we've been, where we're headed. Those are the things that
You are fascinating. You are a cute little nerd. I love that. Urban development. That is the most wholesome answer I've heard.
I think it's great. And living in a city like Seattle,
yeah,
right? It's so fun to watch. I mean, the Seattle that I grew up with in the 80s is very different from the Seattle that was at the tech boom, and is very different from the Seattle that is today. I just went to the brand new convention center. They just opened the Summit building, and watching the incorporation of what they did to put that into the city. I mean, it's sitting on a place that, I'll be honest, was not a very attractive part of the city before. So when we were all up there, all of us Seattleites, and looking over the city in this amazing space that now really has the whole city giving it a hug, because it's surrounded by neighborhoods and the financial district, and you can see Pike Place Market, and the Paramount Theater is next door, and saying, remember when this was the bus station? I mean, who knew that when we would be floating above it on this terrace? So
beautiful.
Those
now.
are the things that I'm so excited. I nerd out about it.
My heart is racing. I have never been to Seattle. I don't know when I will go. I need to find an excuse to
mileage
go.
Run to Seattle must be done.
Honestly, that's a good idea. I did just get my new, I splurged and got a platinum card. So I've been like booking flights on it to try and get my deals.
It's time. You gotta come. This is a Murphy bed. So there's room for you. Just saying.
I can use the treadmill and sleep in it.
That's right. I've also got an elliptical trainer and a weight bench. It all fits back here.
I want to get one of those treadmills that you put your laptop on and you power walk.
Okay, so I've had that before. It's not as easy as it seems.
It's not practical.
I don't recommend it.
Don't recommend it. No. I don't think I could get work done while I was exercising.
It's too much stimulation. I recommend trying it out before purchasing.
Yeah. I'm in Dick's Sporting Goods, just on my laptop, trying to test it out. Oh man, you are the best. Thank you so much for letting me just bombard you with questions.
It's been a pleasure. It's always good talking to you. Next time, I'll give you a tour of Seattle.
Yes, deal. I'll text you if I'm ever heading that way. I never go to the West Coast, but it's gorgeous, and I'm dying to see Oregon too. That's
just come between June and September.
Okay, all right.
And you won't get rained on so
much. Well, you have a beautiful day, and thank you so much for coming on here, Alicia.
Absolutely. Have a great one.
Bye nerds.
Everybody.